Okay, we'll call to order the meeting of the Butler County Salary Board. Has anyone signed up for public comment, Laura?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, proceed with the agenda, please.
May I have the approval of the minutes for March 11th, please?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second to that motion? I'll second it. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries.
Under judicial, the creation of one probation officer at 22,832. The clerk typist, one part-time, 30 hours at 16,489. And one tip staff, 1,000 hours rolling year, $86.55 a day. And President Judge is.
So moved.
Is there a second to
I'll
the
second
motion?
it.
Any discussion? Questions, John?
Yeah, discussion on this. I'm very proud of the courts for doing this. This is, mental health is very important to me, and these two, the one for probation officer one and clerk typist, is for the grant we got for Staunton Farms for mental health court. And this is a big day for Butler County. Allegheny County has had this for a long time. It's worked effectively, and I'm very proud of our county to be able to initiate this. So it's a happy day for us. We should not incarcerate people with mental illness in jail. It's not right. You know, now some can't help everybody, but the people we can help, we're going to do the best we can, and I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Under prison, the creation of a warden on April 27th at $44.54 with benefits and with retirement, and the elimination on July 12th of a warden at $41.70 with benefits and with retirement.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Under soil conservation, the creation from May 26th to May 31st of soil conservation manager at $29.104 with benefits and with retirement, and one soil conservation manager, maximum of 500 hours from June 1st to December 31st at $31.14, no benefits and no with retirement.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to say this about this. I'm really going to miss Ron Fodor. I'm on the conservation as a board member. I'm not wanting to do conservation. I've very much enjoyed that. Ron Fodor's been a real asset to the county. Luckily, we had Sue Vogel. She is, we got her, you know, you never know who's going to apply. To make, you know, you never know that, but, you know, luckily for us, we had 3 or 4 good applicants, and it came down to Sue, and I think she was a standout. She lives right across the county line on a farm. She has background in 4-H, and she's in the private sector. She had a lot of management experience in the private sector, and she had public sector experience of over 14 years. So I'm very proud that we found somebody that was so capable for there, and I'm really going to miss Ron Fodor, who was there for a long time.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under communications, the creation of 5 part-time telecommunicators, 1,000 hours rolling year at $19.93, no benefits and no retirement.
Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
I'd like to discuss this.
Okay.
For the press, I'm sorry I'm discussing everything here, but I asked for different people. We're adding 5 people here. The city of Butler, they have this right. They're the last municipality not to be on 911. They had a desk sergeant, so they're eliminated that to save money. And Steve Bicehouse and Rob McClafferty, the heads of the communications department, they came up with this idea of adding 5 part-time people to see what it's going to take to do the job. And I thought it was a terrific idea. We're not adding just 5 willy-nilly people for the to do this. They're actually doing this on purpose to see how much time it'll actually take. I mean, it's one thing in theory to guess what you're going to do, but I'd really like to thank Steve Bicehouse and Rob McClafferty. They cannot be here today. So we're not willing, I want to make this clear to the press, you know, we're just not adding 5 people. We're taking over for for the city of Butler, who is in bad financial shape, of what we do for every other municipality in the county. They're the last one, so I think this is a good idea.
I think it should also be noted that, I know some in the public may see this as, unfortunate that the county has to take over these calls. However, the fact is, if you're a business owner or a resident, and you have a landline phone, you're currently paying $1 towards your 911 emergency fees. And that is currently being directed to the county. So in essence, while the city of Butler's been taking these calls, we've been receiving the financial benefit of it. So in essence, getting a free ride. I think that as we merge these two calls, however, I'm optimistic that as we look at the metrics down the road, that's all we have right now. We have the number of calls that the county receives and that the city receives. But I'm optimistic that that number, when they're combined, will actually be more efficient, and here's why. The city, I believe, is getting a number of calls for various reasons, such as parking tickets. And I suspect that if somebody gets a parking ticket and they know that their only option is to call 911, I don't think they're going to be calling 911. So I think this is the conservative, responsible thing to do in adding part-time folks until we're further able to assess what the overall impact is going to be.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Ben is right. The city currently gets anywhere from 10 to 20,000 calls a year, and the county 911 center gets over 100,000 calls a year. And the city, as Ben said, some of those calls are not really emergency calls, so the true number is probably somewhere closer to the 10,000 mark of additional calls that our 911 center will have to handle. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm sorry, that's an aye for me. I didn't say anything. Okay.
Under planning, the elimination of a CDBG coordinator on July 1st at $20.167 with benefits and with retirement, and the elimination of a junior planner on June 10th at $18.238 with benefits and with retirement, and the creation on July 1st of CDBG coordinator at $22.572 with benefits and with retirement, and effective till January 1st of 2016, the rate would be $24,976.
Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I'd like to make a motion to separate this. I don't know what, why is a junior planner taking away that position that hasn't been filled in a long time? Why is that in together with the CDBG coordinator? I don't know why that is. Can't we separate that out and vote on that first?
No, I'm not in favor of separating it. Are you guys?
I'm not, because I think this is a benefit to the taxpayers down the road. Yes, it hasn't currently been filled, but the way I look at it is any time we have the opportunity to protect the taxpayers from funding another job, it's in their best interest. I'm not in favor of
Then we've
separating.
had to budget for it because any position that is not eliminated and is still on the books, we have to budget for it each year. So there's extra money goes into the budget for that, even though it may not be used.
Okay, since we're not allowed to do that, can I discuss about the raise?
Yes.
Okay, I want to tell the public this. I'm not saying that the CDBG coordinator isn't getting extra work and maybe should get a little raise. But we have a big problem in our community. This is terrible. I'll just give you the facts. At the end of 2014, the CDBG coordinator was making $19.40 an hour. She got a 5% increase and at the first of the year, 5%. That took her to $20.16 an hour. The proposed increase would be July 1st of this year. That would be another 11.5% increase on July 15th. That would be a total of 16.5% increase in 7 months. Okay? I think that's outlandish. Then, 5 months later, at the 1st of 2016, there'd be another 10.5%. when you add this up, that's a $5.60 an hour raise, 28.5%. This is the biggest raise that has ever come across. The morale buster raise for the personnel director was 23%. And that is the #1 thing that the employees came to me in this county. 23% raise in 1 year. That is #1 that the employees did not like. Now we're doing 28.5%. Now I'd like to say this. I'm not saying that some of this isn't merited because there's an extra workload put on her, and I don't know if she's got to work overtime or not. There was some extra evenings going on, so I can see that. But just to reiterate this, going from $19.40 an hour to $25 an hour, and they'll even be in the middle, in the October, September, in September or October of 2016, there'll be another 2.5% raise. Automatically go on her pay. 30% increase, okay? But in a $5.60 in a year, and that is 28.5%. How could anybody in their wildest dreams justify this? We are cutting back senior centers, and we are giving willy-nilly raises. And here's another thing I really disagree with. It's not my job to sit here as commissioner and impose a 2016 rate increase on the next board. Let me make that clear. It's not my job to impose lavish pay raises on the new board. If they don't think 16.5% was done by this board for this year, and that person's not got enough, well, they can give them an extra 10.5%. Why would I strap the board coming on with this increase? We're gonna have tax increases. Our budget is not well. Why would I want to do that? Where is the merit? If any of the other commissioners or Ben Holland can tell me why it's my job to impose a tax increase or a pay raise on an employee after I leave office. We're gone. I don't think it's mine at all. And I don't think senior citizens should be happy about this. 50% cuts for them, and we're doing 28 to 30% increase. I find it embarrassing. And the other thing I find embarrassing, this, you make no mistake about this, this is a morale buster for the county employees. We're in labor negotiations, and you have these giveaways without justification, and it just wreaks havoc to our labor negotiations. What they're getting, if you got the money, you're giving her out. Why aren't you giving it to all of us? Okay, so we've got Mike English here right in the middle of labor negotiations, and we're giving away the farm. This isn't a hard call for me, and it wouldn't be a hard call for the community, okay? And this is under no circumstance. The person that does CDBG does a good job. If we were going to give a reasonable amount for this extra workload she has, and she did prove to me that she's going to work some extra evenings and extra hours, that would facilitate a raise, okay? But don't come to me with 30% increases. It's an insult.
Thank you. I'd like to say something. The new program she's taking over are going to bring $33,000 more per year into the county, and it's all federal and state money. Okay, I realize it's tax money, but it is not coming out of our regular budget. And to be honest with you, she's been underpaid for a long period of time, and we're making it right. And it is not out of our just regular budget. So I'm going to vote yes for it.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
Okay, that's funny you mentioned that, Dale, because our senior centers are going down 50%, and it's not coming out of our budget either. That's coming out of state money, and it's been level funding, and we're cutting back all these cutbacks for seniors, and it comes out of the state and federal money. Now, you want to have all these cutbacks, so in one way you say, oh, well, this is not our money. I don't believe in any of that stuff. It's still tax dollars. We have to be frugal with it. And when they take the money out of my check, or whether I send it in, if I'm self-employed, I still pay the federal and the state tax. So to me, we're you know, it is proposed this way. I want you to know this. Why it's set up that commissioners have the last say-so with state and federal funds. 2/3 of our money comes from the state and the feds. Why they do that is because we're the last line of defense. We're the ones supposed to care. Now Dale says we shouldn't care because it's state and federal
I
money.
didn't say we should.
You know, while I talk the floor, Dale, you
Jim,
know.
stick to the.
Well, that is the issue.
No,
He's
that is
saying
not the
state
issue.
and federal issue is one, I guess I'm arguing that one. But, you know, it's state and federal money, and I think it should be, it's our purview to spend it wisely, and I believe in that.
This admin money was going to local municipalities. These local municipalities, the $33,000 is going to locals. They have asked us to take this over for them, so that $33,000 a year, which was going to the local municipalities for admin money, will now be coming into the county. To do this job, the extra money, or the extra job that she's going to have to do will mean going out evenings to all these municipalities. She doesn't get paid overtime for doing this. This is part of her salary. She's been underpaid for a long time. Now she's been asked to take on these extra jobs, these extra municipalities under our CDBG block grant funds, which will mean a lot of extra work for her. It's only right that she should be paid for this extra work.
Let me just make a few comments on
Go ahead.
this. This is something that honestly I've
Ben,
struggled
can you
with.
speak up? I'm sorry, I
I
can't
was
hear you.
going to say, I'm going to make a few comments on this matter because it's something that I've struggled with. And first of all, the facts. Public hates pay raises. They do. And that's one of the reasons, why I voted against a fair number of them during my time in office. This doesn't have an impact on the general fund. If it did, based upon what I know now, I'd be voting against this. I'm not going to put the general fund and the Board of Commissioners in a position that they would have to raise taxes. I struggle with this one because you're asking somebody who's clearly, from an objective manner, underpaid, asking them to take on additional work. My office has actually even looked into, well, what would the cost be to contract this out? And that's what these municipalities did before. It would at least be somewhere in the ballpark of 50 to almost 100% or double what it would cost to do this internally. So you're asking somebody to take on significant work who's already underpaid when the money is there and available to reimburse them for their salaries and benefits in retirement. And the other thing is I benchmark this against what I would consider to be a similar position, although I still think the position that I benchmark this against would actually be slightly lower than the position that we're discussing here, and that's a criminal justice grant writer in the courts. So I look at things, I've got to be able to look the taxpayer in the eye and say, is this excessive? Is this justifiable? I don't think it's excessive based upon the overall salary. If you look at folks in the union, in other jobs, making as much, if not more, and you're asking somebody to essentially run their own department and to administer a program who's underpaid, and to take on additional work, I don't think it's unreasonable. And I would encourage any taxpayer. I can talk more and discuss with you why I think this is the appropriate thing to do. And I don't think this is something that the union can use in collective bargaining because the money's there. The county's not flush with cash like everybody thinks. The money from Sunnyview, it's essentially it's in the new building. It's not there. So I don't know where everybody thinks the county has all this money. But what I'm saying here is we have an opportunity to correct an inequity with money that's available, and it is. It's all taxpayer money. I don't care if it's county, state, federal, all taxpayer money. I've said that before. I'll continue to say it. But and I'll end on this. There's a report that my office was very proud of it that we put in. I think the vast majority of people in county government ignore it. But we break down department by department from the departments under the Board of Commissioners to the courts to the row offices. What are your expenditures year over the past 10 years? And, you know, it's kind of a joke in our office, who can beat the controller's office at 1.62% annual growth. The planning department is actually negative over that period, over the last 10 years. So from 2004 through the end of 2004 to 2014, they've stayed relatively steady as far as their expenditures. And so I think that needs to be looked at. So I don't think this is an unreasonable request from the planning department. And to boot, we're going to eliminate a position that cannot be filled, again, without the approval of salary board. So I think the taxpayers are getting something there too.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
And lastly, the exempt non-union employees, the tax rate to be effective December 31st. She's taken the hourly rate and changing it to the salary.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please? Lori, I'm sorry about that.
Is the exempt non-union positions taking the hourly rate and changing it into a salary rate?
Okay.
I'll second the motion for discussion. I did have a few questions. The majority of these I don't have an issue with. Honestly, I think it makes it more transparent to the public because I see the overall salary for the position. There are a few that I do have a question with. Most departments, the director and/or the deputy.
Which one, Ben?
Well, those ones, the majority, I said, I'm fine with the department head or the deputy director. If they have like a financial officer, I'm okay with that. But like, for instance, with communications and emergency services, the hazmat specialist, the emergency planner, the quality assurance coordinator, are they really technically considered management?
Well, we could have, yeah, we could have. But we went over mostly the salary study, and if the departure group made them exempt, is what we went by.
Okay.
So I would have to double check those. I could double check this for you. But I think it was because the, yes, 37 Homeland Security Planner is exempt, hazmat specialist exempt. What was the other one? Quality assurance. That is a new position, and was not part of the work group.
Okay.
So we could table just that position if you'd like to, but the other two, through the Nurture Group, was categorized as exempt.
Okay.
Well, that quality assurance coordinator evaluates the union employees.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
I
their
would
job
think
is.
absolutely, as almost supervisors do.
Right.
I would say.
So there's not really much difference between this list. I didn't have the opportunity to compare them. Basically, it's really our non-union personnel.
No, it's the management exempt. It's exempt, not necessarily, exempt is a specific term.
There's a lot of non-unions that are non-exempt,
Okay.
so we might find the other.
All right, well, in that case, and we know that these are the positions that are exempt from overtime. Okay. And we know, I mean, we'll continue to track the time cards to make sure we have the average of at least, because I'm confident, I know that there are many department heads and other employees that, no doubt in my mind, average more than 40 hours, but this is only a way to track that.
I'd like to say this, I don't know why we don't table this. I had about 5 of them that I'd like to further discuss. It's been like this forever. I mean, I think we ought to, there's about 5 of them. I mean, maybe the solicitor, you know, I'm not saying he's not right about some of those, but we certainly, I had about 5 of them I earmarked that I didn't think they were management. And I don't think we ought to do that either. You know, what's the big hurry on this?
Well, I guess my question is, what is it really, if they're exempt and exempt from overtime, that's a good thing. Why wouldn't it be?
Well, how about if they work 30 hours a week or 25?
Well, that's why, that was one of my concerns, is to make sure that that they're still submitting time
They're
cards.
exempt from overtime, that means they can work 25 hours a week.
No,
Those are
Well-
two different questions.
no.
No, yeah, it's very, two different questions. That's why I'm asking, because I mean, our office, when we audit payroll, receives the time cards, and so we match that up. And what I'm concerned with is that we have documentation showing that they're averaging at least 40 hours in a week.
Just because you're exempt doesn't mean you don't have to work a full
Correct.
week.
That's my concern here, so, that's,
Well, we didn't send anything out to the department heads asking them to change anything about how they.
Yeah, this
turn
isn't
in their
operational at
timesheets,
all.
so That would not be changed.
that was my question. And if that, with the answer I'm getting, if operationally we're doing everything the same moving forward, I'm comfortable with that. Because what this tells me as a salary board member, when I look at this, that's the salary. The employee must meet a minimum of 40 hours on average a week, and there will not be any overtime.
This is just getting in line with the Fair Labor Standards Act and the way everybody else in the world runs their railroad.
I mean, this is very consistent with the private sector.
It is the private sector and most of the public sector.
Did you thoroughly review this, Mike? Do you feel good about it?
Well, I'm comfortable with this, that, like Lori said, Archer did the individual, they're the experts who did the study and declared who was exempt and who isn't. There were some positions, like you noted, that weren't in that we looked at, and there were some that we did think about and excluded, that, yeah, I'm comfortable with it.
Oh, okay.
This is really a no-brainer thing, is it
Well,
not?
I know 90%, it should have been done with 90% of them a long time ago. I mean, it should have been done.
I mean, if you're exempt, it should be 100% of people that are exempt. I mean, it's a long, Fair Labor Standards Act's a big, long story, but they're not entitled to overtime. There's lots of requirements you don't have to do. You don't have to track your hours and things like that. So,
So
it's
you thoroughly
just something
reviewed
that
this
their
and
compensation
you're
is usually expressed annually as a salary.
You're comfortable with it then? or?
Right, yeah. I mean, in some years you'll have more or less pay periods, which impacts then if you're an hourly employee, what you make. Whereas here, it's just gonna be like the row officers and yourself. You know, the elected officials are on a flat rate per year. You divide that by the number of pays, you make the same amount every year. It's getting them in line with the elected officials.
Would have saved us a lot of money this year because of the extra pay. Those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Conference time, John?
I just had one quick clarification regarding the CDBG coordinator's position. The initial request on Monday, I believe, was for one raise to about 25.25 an hour. It's changed since then.
Yes.
Well, what happened with that change?
Well,
Paul proposed this, so he can answer that.
I was just going to say that I think the original request was 25. I went back and looked at, and I spoke with Mr. Johnson, the department head for planning, benchmarked that to a comparable position, which was the grant writer in the courts. The other difference is that it will be segmented, meaning half of the raise would be granted starting July 1st. The second half would be January 1st. And I think that what that tells the public is that as the additional work is taken on, we will increase the pay. So it's not just all at once.
Anything else, John?
No, I think that's
Kayla?
Yeah, just one question on that same position. I know that the salary study showed the position was underpaid before. With this raise, does it put the position where it needs to be in terms of the salary study?
It's my understanding it would be approximately somewhere near the midpoint.
Well, it'll be, I'd just like to say this, it'll be above work, as a person's been here for 9 years. It'll be between the midpoint and the top, okay? So it's actually, Ron Fodor was here for 20 years and his was at the midpoint. This one's gonna be between the midpoint and the top. And the person's here 10 years, you can make the decision. The public can make that decision.
Ben, am I correct in saying the salary study though didn't take into account the
Longevity.
new responsibilities too of that position?
No, what? I don't see how it could have.
Right. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adjourn? I'm moved. Is there a second? Those in favor say aye.